If I say go to channel 21, forget it. We ain't going to 21. We're going to 19.
21 is 19.
If I say go to channel 6, forget it. We're going to channel 3.
I don't go to 6. I go to 3.
And if I say go to channel 2, we can go channel 1.
2 is 1.
So that'll confuse everybody. We would be a sizable ass to your company. Sometimes she has to ask the doctor for change, and he's an asshole. And he'll say,
I only carry hundreds. Sorry. I throw the ones away at pigeons. And
yeah, I meant to stop at a bank and pick up some Kruger ants this morning, but they didn't have time. I guess those ancient coins from Mesopotamia that are under my seat, I hope they take them at Dunkin' Donuts.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
You know, sometimes, and I fully believe this, when we went to school, they at least taught you home economics.
They never taught me.
Huh?
Never taught me.
They taught you how to cook simple things.
You had a better school than I did.
They did. We'd learn to make pancakes and biscuits. They actually had working kitchens, and
I learned the Beatitudes. They taught me, and that helped me not in the kitchen at all.
You actually would cook. You would practice at home, and then you would come in, and as a group, you would cook whatever they had for you.
Sounds wonderful.
It was pretty simple stuff, no meat or anything, but you at least learned your way around the kitchen and maybe what to do. Yep. They taught you about coupons. They taught you about balancing a checkbook. I know no one balances their checkbook exactly anymore. And they did teach you some common sense things.
Right.
They don't have this in school anymore. And the amount of young people that don't even know how to check in for a doctor's appointment is staggering.
I knew you were going here.
It's staggering. You know, you can't just come in and I say, can I help you? There's a vet's office here now. I was so confused.
Then you say it again. Can I help you?
Can I help you? Yes, I'm your 115. Can I have your name? Am I okay parking out here?
Questions only get harder.
Oh my God. It's just, there's so many young people and they walk around with just these big piles of awkward because they don't know how to interact. I don't know if their parents did everything for them and they never had to order their own chicken tenders, but it's scary.
It's exactly like the Will Ferrell Jeopardy. Mustard. Mustard is made from mustard seeds. I hate my job. That's what Stacey's like when I pick her up every day. Your name.
Just a little bit of venting.
Third time, your name.
Can I help you? I'm from Tennessee.
Can I get your insurance card? Forget it. I'll look it up.
There's a lot of people too. If I say, obviously you go to, what are you going to need at checking at a doctor's office? Let me help you out. You need your insurance card, photo ID, and
you need to know your name.
Check-in paperwork. You need to know your name. I ask for insurance card and they start digging.
Pull out their wall calendar. Oh, here it is.
Sometime, an old lady once handed me her Nordstrom card and asked me if that was it. Okay. They're never prepared. I would say 2% of the population walk up to the window with their hand, and I'm so excited. Like, you're so prepared. They don't know what to do. I feel sorry for the pharmacies and people yelling at them. And, anyway, that's my little rant for this week about being prepared and knowing how to interact when you're being waited on.
I work with some wealthy individuals, some people that make some cheddar cheese, and the things that wealthy people complain about, that's going to be my rant. So,
# first world problems.
Yeah. We are the have-nots, but I'm bumping elbows with the haves, and they say stuff like this. You wouldn't believe this birthday party I had to endure for my daughter. The parents rented this mobile arcade theater truck. These 30 kids climb aboard and play video games. It's just not healthy. So, I have nothing to say to them because I could never afford something like this. So I say something like, I know, right? Last time I booked a star in a blockbuster movie truck, the thing was half an hour late. And plus the movie only grossed about $5 million. Blockbuster my ass.
Whatever happened to just getting a little bouncy house?
Last year, I tried switching to the book a spaceship for the birthday party on Mars trip. I had to pay months in advance, and I never got my deposit back either.
Could you imagine the later in the calendar year your child's birthday is and you have to top all of these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like going the other direction too. Like you could say, you may want to go for the good humor ice cream truck experience. Kids love those red, white, and blue popsicles. He plays this adorable song. You can hear it all through the neighborhood. And it'll set you back a few bucks, but it's well worth it. I'd look into it.
Yeah, you know what? Like I locked my keys in my car truck from AAA is just a mind-blowing experience. I mean, why does he need such a big truck just for the Slim Jim? I really think they should reduce their carbon footprint and just use a scooter.
Here's another one. Some wealthy weirdo. Mark, I had to take the Tesla to the dealer because the window goes up and down so slow. It's just unbearable. I mean, I had to wait at least 30 seconds in the drive-thru. It was unacceptable. And then I go, yeah, I know what you mean. I have the same problem with the Hyundai. I think it rolls down slow because I have to get a pair of pliers on that little knob. And I'm often drift into the next lane. Everybody starts honking. So I feel your pain there, buddy. Yeah. You wouldn't believe the bumpy ride when my personal space shuttle comes in for a landing. Definitely dropping that thing off for a tune-up this week.
Yeah, definitely higher up problem.
Yeah.
Even worse,
Yeah.
when I take a ride in my personal time machine, the seatbelt always chafes me a little.
Oh, no.
I get like a time rash.
Unacceptable.
And sometimes it makes me pee a little with the jump.
What, are you supposed to pack a change of clothes just for time
It's
traveling?
just unacceptable.
Unacceptable. It's kind of like whenever I turn the dial on my toaster oven up too high, I get this weird smell of barbecued cat hair.
Asking my boss for change.
And wait,
Sorry.
explain why you have to do that.
Because we don't have petty cash, and every now and then someone will try to pay me
A
with
patient
cash,
will try to
which
pay
I
you cash.
hate.
Mhm.
I love it when I'm like, okay, that'll be $285, and they say, "Do you take cards, please?"
Well, anyway, so that sometimes she has to ask the doctor for change, and he's an asshole, and he'll say,
I only carry hundreds. Sorry, I throw the ones away at pigeons and
"Yeah, I meant to
squirrels.
stop at a bank and pick up some Kruger ants this morning, but they didn't have time. I guess those ancient coins from Mesopotamia that are under my seat, I hope they take them at Dunkin' Donuts. It's also annoying the way my residuals only come by check. I mean, we're not direct depositing. Is this 1872 or something like that?
All right, we've got a great one for you this week. Our feature interview is with Tasos, Tzimorotas, and Jamie Stungo of the UK thrash band The Bleeding.
Yeah.
These guys really have taken the metal world by storm by releasing Monokrator earlier this month. We can't stop playing it.
Yeah.
We have an excellent discussion regarding their painstaking approach to adding guitar solos, their stance on so many bands sharing The Bleeding as a moniker, and perhaps even a story about being dumped for liking horror movies a bit too much.
Shameful.
Stay tuned for that.
Okay, so let's play a song. This is Chainsaw Death Cult. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcast. We've been adding all kinds of bonus content that you can't get anywhere else. I did a thing on Rip magazine last week. Is it any good? Does it hold up? I added some extra Aerosmith reviews from the Rock and Roll Show. And for this show, I am going to go back. I see that the original Smokey and the Bandit is now on Netflix. So I am going to go back and watch that and review it on Patreon to see if it still holds up. I know. Go ahead.
And I even make a ridiculously easy, ridiculously tasty chicken gyro.
That's right. For $6.66 a month, it unlocks all kinds of bonus content that you can't get anywhere else. I got an idea.
Okay.
Why don't we do this? If I say go to channel 21, forget it. We ain't going to 21. We're going to 19.
21 is 19.
If I say go to channel 6, forget it. We're going to channel 3.
I don't go to 6. I go to 3.
And if I say go to channel 2, we can go channel 1.
2 is 1.
So that'll confuse everybody.
That'll confuse them.
That's right. So get over to patreon.com and you'll see our review of Smokey and the Bandit. Is it still funny? Does it still hold up, or is it crap? Okay. All right. So I don't know if I ever talked about this with you, but I've had some strange friends in the past that were into heavy music. And
You
there
mean
was,
there's strange people out there reviewing heavy metal?
can't
music?
imagine. You can't imagine some of the people. This one guy that wrote for me when I had the website, he was on his bike talking to me. I heard him get hit by a car. So, ow, dude. Oh, I got hit by a car. I'm like, are you all right, Doug? And he goes, yeah, I'll be okay. I'll call you back.
I always bleed.
He called me back like half an hour later. And he was like, listen, I'm going to be a little bit late with the reviews because I'm in the hospital. And I was like, unacceptable. Any excuse. I heard the impact. His name was Doug. He was a weirdo. Anyway, this guy had his own music website, and he used to plagiarize my music reviews, and he would pass them off as his own on his website, right? And this guy was so weird. He was just so socially awkward. He liked to type things instead of speaking. He's awkward speaking, but good typing.
This guy's back into the socially awkward. See how seamlessly this was?
I'm telling you, how much would you pay? So I would invite him to a show of a band we liked. I'd be like, hey, we're going to see Fu Manchu in 2 weeks. You want me to get you a ticket too? And he would say, he would have these elaborate excuses. Oh no, I have to wash my hair, or my wife's having a hysterectomy. I will be out of town at a mannequin painting convention. Just anything like this weird excuses, and be like, all right, well, okay. Sorry to hear that, right? Then I'd go to the show and he'd be there with other people. Like a different entourage. Like I don't know why he just didn't say, I'm already going with Mike and them.
Basically, he got a sexier offer and didn't want to
It
say
happened
that.
multiple times. I stopped asking to go to shows because I just assumed he would be there with anyone else but me. It's so weird. But here's the thing. Again, socially awkward. Instead of changing his behavior, he chose to aggressively apologize.
For his plagiarism.
Yeah. Like he would post something like this on his website or on social media. I would like to apologize for my rude and inexcusable behavior regarding the review of Anal Cunt's album, I Like It When You Die. For some reason, I copied Mark Marchman's review verbatim, and I'm deeply sorry about it. It was accidental on purpose plagiarism. I am feeling just sick over the situation that occurred last Thursday at the Super Suckers show at the Sidebar in Baltimore. I was dishonest with my friend Mark Marchman, who did nothing to deserve such behavior. And be like, you don't really have to do that. I don't really need these formal apologies. But I thought, well, what if he goes further? Because of my inexcusable behavior regarding the review of Nasal Sex's album, Shove a Bologna Sandwich Up Your Butt, I have decided to journey to Badarinth, India, as a sabbatical to fast and pray in a loincloth for 9 weeks in search for wisdom.
Maybe he's one of these people who had a cat of nine tails he did at night, for bad.
What self-flagellation. Yeah.
It's shun.
There is nothing I would enjoy more than seeing Witch Smeller Pursuivant at the Record Theater with my good friend Mark Marchman. I apologize profusely for my false excuses and any damages caused Mark or his family or his sense of self-esteem. I regret to say that I am tragically a skank fragment. All right, we made that last part. Actually made the whole thing up. He did it at a show one time.
My God.
I think we're seeing like Nuclear Assault or something. We knew the guys. He got up on stage. I was like, oh no. And it was like, I can't remember what he said, but it was literally like, all right, everyone's having a good time. Let me make it really awkward for all of you. And he said something that was weird.
Inappropriate speaking.
But
It's a thing.
But he was not the worst apologizer.
Oh, God.
All right. So this crazy job I used to work, my boss used to just go out. If the waitress gave him good service, he'd hire her and stick her with me. You're like, Mark will train you. And I ended up firing these people always. They never worked out. But he hired a guy that he played softball with. And this guy could not spell his name.
Could he throw a softball?
I assume he was good on the field because he was terrible in the office, right? His emails to customers were unintentionally hilarious. This is the type of person that is worse with spell check. So here's an example I'll put up on the screen. This is the type of thing he would send to an actual prospect. Bernard, I apologize. I was under the compression that you were speaking to new vendors. It's hard for me to chow mein my excitement, and then we are one of the largest and most defective accounting germs in the country. We would be a sizable ass to your company.
Who couldn't use a sizable ass?
Oh, God, just start over.
Fat bottom girl.
It's not. It's hard for me to chow mein my excitement, and that we are one of the largest and most defective accounting germs in the country. We would be a sizable ass to your company, Acme Shit Shovels. Cod me if you have any consertions. Yeah.
Did he sign off with finger guns? I don't think there's a pill for this level of dyslexia.
The man should have never been working behind a desk at all. Here's another one. Dear Mike, when I come to accounting stiffing, you have a lieu of option. ABC's staffing pollutions are backed by 80 yards of deviance in the industry and one of the most expensive talent woodworking from pubic accountants to payroll medalists.
Horrible.
He actually got fired. The day we fired him, we had to fire his wife in another room at the same time. His wife worked there. She was stealing from the company.
Oh.
And he was just doing this. So I remember I thought he was just going to beat the crap out of me, but anyway.
He was more interested in why his wife was getting fired.
That's right. He was like, really, what'd you do? And I was like, did you not hear the part about how this is your last day? Whatever. Let's play another song. This is The Bleeding with Mutation Chamber. Okay, you're up.
All right. So our sponsor this week is Imperfect Foods. You've heard us talk about them before. They not only send very delicious, in fact, we just enjoyed a very delicious pork chop.
Next week we're getting Acme shit. Anyway.
Yeah, we actually just enjoyed those. Were actually imperfect pork chops.
Oh, really good. Yeah.
Anyway, they're
I like when she porks me.
meats are really tasty. They have great sauces, tomato sauces, vodka sauces, their cheese. They have a great habanero cheddar. And many of these products would have been wasted. And I'll show you some examples of some here.
And I'll give you an example.
All right. So everyone loves quinoa. It's a great source of protein, very healthy for you. What if it turned out and they call this not quite tricolor quinoa? It was supposed to be a blend of white, red, and black. The red doesn't really stick out. So this would have been a trashed product. All that time and energy and water.
I think I heard one of those Richie said that. You actually expect me to eat 2-color quinoa? Please.
So this is a product that is tasty and no one cares that it's not tricolor. Again, saving things that would have gone to trash. Here's another one. This is wonky chocolate bar pieces. These are pieces of chocolate bar that
we've already gotten into them.
That would have been thrown out. They're covered in nuts and yummy things. And again, this just would have been trashed. It's not going to hurt you just to eat a piece of a candy bar instead of a whole candy bar. So another very delicious product that you are saving the planet by buying. And last but not least, this is white rice. It is actually rice made from veggies. Even jalapenos are in here. It's this crazy thing. And this has far more protein and less carbs. And it's just as tasty, if not tastier, than your regular rice. Again, they bring such neat products. They even have potato chips, broken pieces of pretzel, sprinkles that would have gone to waste, as well as just things that it's surplus, like chili powder and other things. So use our link, get over there to Imperfect. It will save you $20 off your first order. And remember, any order over $60 ships to your door in ice for free.
Great. Okay. All right, it's time for Campfire.
Because streaming services are evil corporations that gatekeep bands from their fans and pay them pennies while collecting millions.
This is Campfire.
This week on Campfire, we're featuring deliciously groovy stoner sludge metal from Japan. The band is Greenmachine. Their website is greenmachine-hardcorerock.bandcamp.com. According to their Bandcamp, the band has had 3 phases, 95 to 99, 2003 to 2006, and then finally 2013 forward. The mainstays of Greenmachine are drummer Datsu and guitarist vocalist Mansawa. They've kept the band heavy and groovy from the very beginning. So we'll start off with, I think I have it. Lovely album cover, the first album, DAMN. It's divided into 2 tracks like LP sides. The album cycles through surge after surge of whistling feedback squalls, groovy bass lines, and ear-splitting riffs that just seem to shoot through the speakers. This band is just too tight for their own good. Best cuts are like Knowledge and DAMN, trying to approximate that Wasted I Hate God sort of falling apart style, but they're just so tight that they blow through these songs and they just never lose command or authority. His vocals are just fantastically unintelligible, savage, maniacal, primitive, hard charging take on Sabbath's darkest moments and a touch of Japanese hardcore. So DAMN.
So you're telling me,
Yeah.
even though they released the CD entitled "This Is the End," this is not the end for them?
It was only in the beginning. So 1999 came The Earth Beater, right? On Man's Ruin, my copy is anyway. Much groovier, this one, much more Sabbathy, drum and bass oriented. The up-tempo stuff has almost like a desert rock vibe about it. I'm going to play a song for you called 72% Decay. Check out the moaning guitars that cut through the mix at the perfect time. This is not boring Pink Floyd-ish intros that go on forever. There's not dumb spoken word samples about sucker punches or serial killers. Just headbanging tunes inspired by the bitchin' era. Vocalists, again, totally out of control, blah, blah, vocal delivery. Calls to mind Japanese power violence and D-beat stuff from the 90s. This is the way sludge metal is supposed to sound. So let's play a song, of course, 72% Decay on a show that is 100% Decay.
The name comes from the Kaya song,
There we
Green
go.
Machine.
That's right. That's right.
All
Okay,
right,
back
so-
to band. Well, back to Campfire.
Yeah. This is from 2019. This is Mountains of Madness. Something is different with the rhythm section.
Yeah.
The original drummer Datsu is every bit as crazed and temperamental as the classic records, but there's an odd hollow tone to the drums here.
Yeah.
The snare has a kind of distant sort of chopped sound, almost like the effect of a bongo head whirring along with the bass. So it's hard to distinguish the two. The cymbals are toned down in the mix as well. It's still subjugated to tremendous violence, but the crashes don't occupy so much space and volume. It's a marvelous effect. You know, it's like very stripped back and effective as a backdrop for the razory vocals and bruising riffs. It's clear as day on the intro to Hippocampus. Not sure of the reason for the change, but it sounds like experimentation and not any type of corners cutting
I
here.
agree. I agree. It's a great record. The album does not disappoint. Riffs of the two-barrel variety, grisly low end, full of subtle nuances that guitar and vocal man Manzawa always dials up, transforming a familiar sound into something spectacular, like the cascading voicings of Golgotha. I really like track 12, but it's a Japanese title, so I have no idea what it is. But it blasts away with freakish hardcore speed, vocals flowing like an Asian volcano. Chain of Wrath takes up the other side of the coin, staggering slow, slower, slowest into capsizing heaviness. Bursting out harmonized guitars to plug a bomb in everyone's ass before plunging headlong into the sordid muck again. See, an accept reference at no additional charge. See, there's even some cowbell thrown in there for good measure. So, yeah, and it was the Mountains of Madness was very, yeah,
HP.
there's a very Lovecraftian bent to Mountains of Madness. So, a really great album. Their latest record is from 2020. It's just called Greenmachine. And it kind of follows the blueprint of Mountains of Madness. This self-titled disc, again, avoids lengthy epics in favor of shorter 3 to 4 minute songs. It's a stodgy brew of guitar and drum tones from the last record. They're all significantly upgraded, so you don't have that odd drum sound that Stacey talked about. His riffs are vaulting from the speakers, as lyrical as they are bombastic. Drummer Datsu's snare punctuations are exceedingly crisp. But don't get the wrong idea. This album delivers more cheap fuzz than an Old Navy sweater. Just listen to a warhead like It's Ruined, cowbell wax akin to sucker punches, giving way to an all-out thrash crescendo, or slow burners like Howl from the Ocean. Twin guitars weeping magnificently against Manzawa's leonine snarls. The vocals just seem to get scabbier and uglier song after song. So let's play some more Greenmachine. This is Golgotha.
All right, so it is time for our feature interview this week with Tasos and Jamie from The Bleeding. We had a great time discussing their latest album and our favorite tracks, their favorite moments, where this band has been, where they're headed. So check it out. Thank you guys so much for such a great conversation.
Okay, here it is. we have been absolutely blown away by the new album. I mean, I wasn't familiar with you guys before, but your guitar playing is on this record is just incredible. So yeah, so
Appreciate it. Thank you.
we immediately thought we needed to reach out because we think this album's going to be in a lot of top 10 lists at the end of the year. We think. So.
Yeah, I've read a lot of glowing reviews. So I totally agreed with one that said, you know, you read your name and you're thinking Cannibal Corpse, you know. But what comes back at me is like you're closer to like Necropanther as far as the melodicness. And do you hear that a lot or?
Yeah, I mean, this album has some Cannibal Corpse elements, and our name has been inspired by Cannibal Corpse. But from our roots are thrash metal, but we all adore 90s death metal.
Yeah.
So it's a blend of the two. We just, our music, we always want to make sure that it contains that punk rock element of thrash. We don't want it to get purely death metal.
Yeah.
This is my opinion, and I feel that you know, your benchmark, if you're playing in a band, in a metal band, should be Motorhead. How close are you to Motorhead?
Yeah.
If you're Dream Theater, if you compare Dream Theater and Slayer, if you compare them to Motorhead, how close are they?
Right.
And I would go with Slayer. So in the case of our music, we got that thrash element because we feel it's cool. It adds to that sort of like punk rock energy.
Yeah, the riffs are so crunchy and the guitar playing is so melodic. It reminded me a little bit of Deceased and Ghoul without the pillowcases on their heads. Just very steeped in old school, but a new sound, you know. So yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, the riffs are so thick and so violent. I was like, have they ever like hurt themselves playing? It's so crazy.
Any injuries from playing?
Well, I think so. Yeah.
We jump around and go crazy. And Tasos is a
Yeah.
You're right. How he does it.
Yeah, there's a Joe Rogan where he's interviewing James Hetfield, and he's talking about how he and Mustaine and the guys from Anthrax, they all had to get surgery from headbanging as they got older, you know. And then Joe Rogan takes a totally dumb turn, is like, well, you should try this machine. I just had it installed. And then he talks about some machine for 20 minutes, kills the whole vibe of the interview. I was like, oh my God, you know. So.
That makes the machine. But that reminds me of a funny story. Francis and I were at a gig of a friend of ours, and we were like, everyone was just sitting there watching the gig very passively, and we were like, I tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, let's go and headbang. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So we charged to the front and start just going crazy. Within seconds, a proper mosh pit had started, and then we sort of retreated to the back and watched. And the next day, I phoned him up. I was like, man, I can't move my neck. You know, there was no warm up. It was just reaching that age where you're like, yeah, really need to warm up for these things now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's like my ex's family used to play American football on Thanksgiving morning. And I was always in good shape. I was a good runner. But the juking, and that I don't do every day. So the next day I would go to work and I would be like, here's $1. Can you get something off the fax machine for me? I can't stand up. And they all would rag on me and call me old man, you know. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, the worst of injuries are the ones that happen when you have to carry guitar amplifiers and speaker cabinets and all sorts of gear. Both myself and Jamie have suffered back injuries and neck injuries and everything, and we've been seeing physiotherapists for a long time to and you know, you need to be careful. You know, if you're not careful, you know, you can hurt yourself, unfortunately. But you know, we love it, so we don't mind.
In Europe, I know they love those narrow staircases in Europe.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real, and when there's a sheet of ice over them, it's even more fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie, careful with if you're on the phone. I think you might be blocking the mic on the phone.
All right, okay. I think it's actually the little tag that goes around the charger. I'm trying to charge it at the same time. Yeah, I was just going to say, we've both done our time of lugging heavy shit up and down flights of stairs. I mean, I definitely have. I don't know about you, Tasos, but
That's living the dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this, but Metal Archives has no less than 7 bands listed at as the Bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
However, none of the rest of them have anything good out that we could find.
Yeah, they all seem like they all
Yeah.
gave up after a few years,
So what do you think has inspired that as the name so much?
I think it's just that one Cannibal Corpse album.
Well, the band was started by me and Themiske from Acid Death. And we were thinking about names, and we both made lists of names. And I added The Bleeding, and I think I was thinking about that album by Cannibal Corpse. And I didn't realize that there were more bands that had that name. I did a little bit of a Google search. I didn't even go to Metal Archives, and nothing came up. So we thought it's a badass name, and we went, let's go with that one. There are other bands with that same name, but like you said, they haven't done much.
No.
Right.
And I think with this album, the last album, the new album, we want to really claim that name. It's, the Bleeding means massacre. It doesn't mean anything emo. It doesn't mean
Doesn't mean
anything.
leeches.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything funny. It means business, and
Yeah.
that's what this album is about. To make sure that we make a statement that this is us, and we mean it.
Yeah, you have evolved through a couple different phases, but you've always kept that consistent old school sound. What do you credit responsible for staying as hard and tough as ever?
Well, Jamie?
your sensibilities, so Tasos's old school sensibilities, I could possibly lean in a more unconventional direction. And I think in songs that I've had influence over, because Tasos is the main songwriter, but in the past I've written a song here or there or influence, and I would tend to push it in a more typical thrash direction, let's say, or I have a lot of other musical interests, so I might lean in a much more avant-garde or progressive direction. And Tasos is the one who has the sensibilities. He knows what the Bleeding is supposed to be and what it should sound like. And I think in the past I've doubted him, and this time around I really didn't. And I'm finding the less I doubt him, the truer the sound of the Bleeding comes through. So abilities, I would say.
So Taz produced this album, didn't he? Did he do? Is that always been the way, or is that a new thing?
Go ahead, please.
It's always been the way. I think. Yeah, I'm not much on a. I mean, Tasos is an extremely. Sorry to speak about you in the third person here, Tasos. You are an extremely talented producer. The demos that he was producing. I remember when we were quite some time ago. I was consistently impressed with the production techniques. And the demos sound really good. But when you've got somebody like that in the band, it's you halve the work really, because rather than leaving it all to the engineer, you've got somebody who can actually sort of steer the ship, so to speak, and just say to the engineer, actually, I think you need to lose a couple of dB at X frequency, or if you've got somebody like that, for one thing, the engineers really appreciate that because they love it when somebody understands the craft of what they're doing. And I think what we had on this album was that perfect fusion of somebody incredibly talented doing the the production. I mean, Ronnie Bjornstrom has done an incredible job. An incredible job. I couldn't be happier. And I know Tasos has had a lot of input in that process. So it's kind of I assume two guys, because I wasn't a party to a lot of the process, but two guys who are really passionate about what they do. And, we got more than the sum of the parts.
That's great. I agree.
Yeah, I really, like Mark was saying to me, sometimes I feel like I got to play it again just to hear that guitar riff or that hook again. So kudos to you guys. 'Cause it's really, really good.
Well, what is a Monokrator anyway?
Yeah, what is a Monaco? If you Google it, it just comes up with your album, which is a good thing.
Exactly. That's so, like I said, we wanted to make a statement with this album, and I was thinking we need to come up with something that is unique and identifiable. And this is an old Greek word. It means single ruler or ultimate ruler or emperor of emperors. So it's kind of like that guy on the front cover. So this is like the ultimate emperor, and it is something that projects that sort of like power that we wanted to project with this album.
Yeah, who did the artwork? It's really an incredible painting. I mean,
Juanjo Castellano. We were very lucky. We wanted to find someone established to work on the artwork, and we were lucky to get him at a stage where he had some time off and he could work on our cover. And he did an amazing job. He's really pleased with that as well. He feels that it's one of his best works, illustrations ever.
And it even gets more detailed in the gatefold, is it?
There's no more detail on the gatefold. However, we have done some extra stuff that are unique on the back cover.
I love the drooling hordes. That's one of my favorites with that big, and there's like specters. It's so much going on. It's just definitely wow.
Yeah, again, it was a collaboration. It wasn't, just him on his own. We really pushed what we wanted to see on there, and even going as granular as pushing for certain colors and the contrast and what we wanted. Like, we wanted something that has a strong impact.
Well, at least on Metal Archives, they only list lyrics to one song. I think it's the Chainsaw. Yeah. How come you guys only listed lyrics to one song?
It's not us. We didn't. It's fans who go in there and do that. I think. I don't know if anyone's got a physical copy of the album just yet, because it got released last Friday. So I don't know if the copies have reached anyone yet to be able to see the lyrics. But that song had a lyric video to support it. And I think the guy who put the lyrics on Metal Archives got them from the lyric video.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, that was really neat. It kind of made that cover come to life.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll
Really
do
well
some
done.
more videos for the other songs, or?
We wanted to, but it's tough with videos. You need a lot of coordination, and we couldn't make it happen. But we want to do actual music videos, so I'm hoping that maybe a bit later.
It would be neat. Even, you ever see where they'll do a playthrough, like they'll just play the guitar part over the song and put that up. Sometimes those are really neat too, because you get to see how much goes into all that.
Right.
Sure.
Just a thought.
Well, while we're talking about Metal Archives, they list Jordan as UK, James from Malaysia, Jamie from Ireland, and Tasos from Greece. Is that all right? Is that where you're all living now, or is that just where you were born, I guess, or something?
Everybody thought I was from Ireland because for a while I actually played guitar in a band called Ira Vulgaris, not to be confused with who was it that did an album called Ira Vulgaris? this band actually predated the album. But they thought I was from Ireland because the rest of the band were from Ireland. Not from
Oh,
London.
okay. Okay. Well, so, but you're all
Yeah,
in the
we
UK now,
we all live in London.
London. Okay. Gotcha.
I'm originally Greek,
Okay.
but we all live in London, and we've been here for like a long time.
I love it. So you had a connection. In fact, we just interviewed James McBain for Hell Ripper, and I saw that you guys, he was on your last record doing some vocals. How did you guys get hooked up with him?
Well, James is an old friend, and we are quite grateful to know him. He's an amazing guy. Not only is he a really talented musician, but he's also a great person. And I believe we're the guys who brought him to London to play to London for the first time. We put together a show, and we invited Hell Ripper over. And I think if I understand this correctly, at that show, an agent from an A&R person from a record label was attending and hooked Hell Ripper up with oh damn, what's the speed metal band, the big one, drawing a blank. Anyway, and he got on a tour with these guys. So when I asked, I thought we had that song, Rise Into Nothing, that had that speed metal, kind of like D-beat thing going on. And I thought it'd be really cool if we could do like a duet with James. The problem is, I would realize after the fact that James and Jamie, they sound quite similar. So it's hard to make out who's singing which verse.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite one is though from this album is the Screams of Torment. That was that guitar solo like a spontaneous or was it a planned? It just in the middle there, it's just wow.
Right. You have the two people who constructed this solo. So it wasn't just me. Jamie is also an incredible guitarist. And for that particular song, that was the trickiest one to get right. And Jamie wanted to do something to write the solo. So I don't know, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so I think I can't remember how many iterations of that solo we went through. I think it was probably 7 or 8, maybe 9. And originally, I just spitballed a whole bunch of different ideas, and Tasos was very keen to make sure that the solo and the rhythm stabs could be interspersed with one another, because to play that song live, you can't just solo over the whole thing. It has to be you have to be able to flip almost like rhythm and solo, because Tasos is the guitar player of the Bleeding. We don't have two guitarists. So what we ended up doing was we sort of amalgamated, didn't we? Like the first half of the solo was you, and the second half of the solo, when it starts to do the ascending and then descending part, was me, and then you fixed the ending. And that's what I really appreciate about you, Tasos, is that you've got such a great metal sensibility. I play all kinds of music. I play jazz, I play metal, I play everything. And in that song, what it needed was somebody who had a great understanding of how to finesse. And that's what Tasos does. He knows just how to take what I've done and just give it that last little sort of like 20% to make it perfect. And I've actually learned a lot as a guitar player, as a metal guitar player, just from watching how Tasos does what he does, because he's the metal master as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. I can't remember the last death metal album that I listened to where I was playing a song over and over again because of the guitar solo. A lot of times the guitar solos in death metal, they just kind of look to up the energy level a little bit. But this one is so lyrical. It's like it's like when I used to make people listen to Richie Blackmore solos or Eddie Van Halen solos. But no, listen to this. Listen to right here. The way it ends on the one. It's so perfect. That sort of thing. Just total geek out stuff.
Yeah.
Or Thin Lizzy. That sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, we both love classic rock as much as anyone else. I mean, the roots of so much metal are in that bluesy
Yeah.
going. Deep Purple, as you say, Jimi Hendrix, the
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You can hear
I've got a poster of Richie Blackmore looking at me right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But we both spent most of the better part of the 90s working and developing neoclassical lead guitar skills and techniques and understanding that sort of thing. Especially myself, like learning to play Malmsteen and Vinnie Moore, Tony McAlpine,
Mm.
all of these guys, the shrapnel
Yeah.
shredders from back in the day. And getting that to work in the death metal field it takes a little while. I think the first attempts, if you listen to our first EP, you could hear that it was a little bit too melodic. It wasn't quite right. Finding the right balance is where the magic is, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a Deicide album where he gets a guitar player that's playing like Malmsteen. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but it didn't fit. And I just remember being like, it sounds great until the solo, and then you're like, what? It's like oil and water. There's got to be
Yeah.
that blend.
Mm.
is like the incredibly hot sauce that you don't want too much of. You just need a touch.
Just a little bit of it, right?
Only he can do it the way he does it. I mean, people like to rip on Yngwie, but to me, he's one of the original guitar heroes. Nobody plays guitar like he does.
Yeah.
So I love the lyrics to Chainsaw Deathcut. Who's the horror buff, or is it a bunch of you? And what would be your favorite horror movies or books?
Yeah, well, I guess we all love horror, and I wrote the lyrics on that one. So I guess I have very specific visual fantasies when I write lyrics, and it has to have a narrative, and it has to be like a little film in my head for it to fit. And in that one, I had this very clear vision of, I guess, like a sort of a culty religious gathering, and somebody who was looking to just slice and dice. I'm not a splatter gore horror fan. I like, I mean, I love The Witch and Hereditary and that kind of thing. But I also love classics like The Exorcist and Hellraiser and, the whole gamut of horror. I love it all. So I'm not sure where all of the juices for that one came from. But, there is some part of all of us that would love to just fire up a chainsaw and just let rip. I mean, I'm assuming, maybe it's just me.
I like how the very last lyric, though, is in my imagination. Like, disclaimer.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Well, I remember playing a song. I was going on a date at the time, and that we were writing this stuff, I think, or just before. And the girl I was going on the date with said, "Oh, wow! So you're playing a metal band? Can you send me some stuff?" I sent it across, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't really understand what you're saying. Can you send me the lyrics?" So I sent her the lyrics to one of these songs. I can't remember which one. And she came back saying, "I don't think it's going to work."
Oh my. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
The skeleton with the entrails wielding, does he have a name with
Yeah, is
the
he a
chainsaw?
mascot or a burgeoning mascot or?
Possibly an Eddie.
Yeah.
Maybe make an appearance on stage.
That's what you think.
I love it as an idea. Yeah, why not?
We have we're talking with Matt Harvey from Exhumed, and then they came to Baltimore, so we went to go see him, and they actually have this guy who runs around stage with a chainsaw. And they said
Dr. Filthy? is it?
Dr. Filthy.
That's his
And
name.
sometimes they have difficult time trying to get through customs. Like, no, he's part of the band.
You know, that's
Yeah.
great. Having any sort of like gimmick like that can add a lot to a live act.
Yeah.
It's a bit tricky though, because it can get a bit silly and unconvincing. But if done right, it can add a lot to a show.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
As long as you're extremely careful. So you're one of 3 UK bands on the
Redefining
Darkness. So how did you end up signing with them, and has your experience been a positive one?
Yeah, I can talk about that. I've known Tommy for a while now, and we used to be with a different Canadian label called We Will Now Records, and we're quite happy with these guys. Really cool. However, there was some issue with the owner of the label, his personal problem. So we couldn't, unfortunately, continue with them. And right around that time, we released that Rise Into Nothing EP with the one you mentioned with Hellripper, James on the vocals, on guest vocals. And Tommy heard that demo. No, it wasn't the demo, it was the actual release. And he went like, yeah, let's do something together. And I thought, yeah, that's great, because I really like Thomas, and I think he gets it. He gets what it takes for a band to create something. He treats it with respect, and also he's the kind of person who understands the scene, understands what it takes for someone to in order to create something good, and what sort of support they need.
Yeah.
So we're really happy. I mean, we've worked with people who have taught us lessons, and Tom is not one of them. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's over the years, there's just certain labels that you associate with quality, where you say, like, well, it's on $20 spin, so it's probably going to be good, or it's on Redefining Darkness, so it's probably going to be good. Kind of like the old days, it's on Metal Blade, it's worth checking out. You know what I mean? So it's just sort of it's a credibility thing, So.
Exactly, and he won't just put out anything.
Right.
He would have to like it. And that's important. You want someone who is behind you, who gets it and supports the music as well. So it's a win-win situation.
Sometimes people will ask us, this band you're interviewing, are they any good? And we'll say, we only interview bands that we like. We get so many promos and emails, and we have to just funnel through it and pick the cream of the crop. That's what we do. Like the Bleeding. See?
We let our listeners know we've done the work for you. You just go enjoy.
That's right.
Should we play our game?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. So I have, well, for you guys, since you're 2, we'll do each 3 random questions. I have 100 questions before me, so each pick 3 numbers.
Okay, 22, 33, 44.
33 and 44. All right. Let's start with you. Number 22. Have you ever pulled a prank on someone?
In a band context, I guess we're talking here, or in general.
Just in general.
Anything interesting?
Oh, sure. I mean, one that particularly sticks out in my mind. I guess the best stories are the ones where something gets a little bit out of hand. I definitely used to blow a lot of stuff up as a child. So, I can think of numerous occasions where people nearly lost fingers because I was just messing around and yeah, including me. I'm actually continually amazed that I have all the fingers on my hand. So yeah, I mean, the stuff that we used to get up to, yeah, pranking, yeah, it's a bit more intentional than that though. So You know, I don't think I'm actually a prankster. I tend to be, yeah, I tend to be like I'm a sort of person that does stuff on my own. So if I was going to blow stuff up, I wouldn't, I wouldn't necessarily try and blow somebody's fingers off. I'd just probably be more likely to injure myself. So it's not in my character to be a prankster. No, I don't think.
Yeah.
All right. 33. What is the first record or CD that you bought yourself?
Oh my.
Oh, okay, that's a tough one. So I can remember the first CD I ever owned, and it was Divine Intervention by Slayer, and I loved it. Had that controversial slashing of the arm with the Slayer logo,
Oh yeah.
and it really freaked everyone out. So I love it. But I think the first one I actually bought was Ride the Lightning, as I
Oh, wow.
recall. So there we go.
That's a great start. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. At least
Yeah.
it wasn't Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. May or may not have been someone else's. What number 44? What chore do you absolutely abhor doing?
Hmm. Okay, let me have a think about that. Ironing.
Oh God. Yeah, whenever I see no iron sheets, I'm like, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Not at all.
So I mean, like, I just stand there and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why? One of those machines where you just put the stuff in and it comes out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just throw it in the dryer and hope for the best.
Yeah.
All right, sir, you're up for your 3 numbers.
1 to 100.
Yeah.
7, 13, 69.
All right, so number 7. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Well, maybe Jamie should answer that.
This one for him, no problem. Insincere people.
Oh.
Ah. See, that's
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
information.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
People who are not what they appear to be. You know, there's a lot of I mean, there's a lot of lack of intent, I think, in music. Sort of like when you watch a show and or you listen to a record and you're like, do they really mean it? You know, otherwise, what's the point? Why are they doing it? Why are they wasting
Right.
their time? They're wasting time. You know, so and I think that's evident from the music, as you guys would agree, I'm sure. Like
Oh.
he's not
Yeah.
screwing. He really means it, and I do as well. So you know that we like to be around people who also do. So I think people who don't would drive us both mad.
No, yeah.
Yeah, the problem with us is that we find a lot of stuff annoying, and we're not the most sociable people either. So we kind of like what we like, and everything else we keep away from. But yeah, I think getting annoyed by certain behaviors is one thing.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. All right, next question. If your house was on fire, what item or items would you grab before leaving?
Oh man. I've got this amazing Jackson soloist guitar, a 1990 model, made in Japan. That is no, made in USA. Sorry, that is really amazing. I'd grab that one and take off.
Somehow I knew it was going to be a guitar
Yeah.
somehow.
Jackson. Yeah.
And then we had 69. If you could learn a skill you do not currently possess, what would it be?
Rollerblading.
Rollerblading.
That's hard.
I
Talk
need
about
s-
sore
I need
for a
more
week.
speed.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Do you guys have like the rental scooters over there? Like they do, like it's all the rage over here in the city. It's like they're just winging by in business suits on a scooter. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we got it.
I think you had it first. It
Maybe I
seems
did.
very European to me. I would imagine.
Look, if people want to die in traffic, that's their business.
The other day, I'm sitting at a light the other day in Baltimore City, and I see a scooter, and it's got dad and daughter one is holding on behind, and little daughter is in front. 3 people on a scooter flying through traffic. I just was like, no helmets. I was like, wow. Wow.
Darwin's going to take care of it.
Yeah.
That's a commute. Yeah.
So are you guys planning a tour? Is it in the works or festivals or what's going on with that?
So I was already speaking to some guys, and I don't want to announce anything, but there are some festivals that we've been approached to play on. I'm afraid I can't announce anything yet,
No,
and we haven't even discussed everything in the band just yet in terms of dates and what works for us.
We have a little festival over here called Maryland Death Festival, so keep that in mind.
no. Just a
You
little bit.
guys should give us a shout if you know any promoters over there. Get them to drop us a message.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because
We could
and
do
now
that.
we got 2, because this year was the inaugural Hell in the Hell at the Harbor, and that was great too.
Yes, next
so-
year they're gonna have 2. They're gonna have MDF and they're gonna have this other one, Hell in the Harbor. And it's gonna be like an experiment to see can Baltimore support 2 huge extreme metal festivals in the same summer. So we'll see.
Oh wow!
I think we can. We showed up.
We did.
Well, the thing is, our fan base is essentially primarily in the United States, and what sucks is we've never played there.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an anomaly that needs to be sorted soon, I hope.
Yeah.
It'll be for us.
Yeah, we there's probably going to be room for you on some of these festivals because I've been hearing a lot of the bigger American bands are canceling these European dates. Like I heard Anthrax canceled; they were going to be on a series of dates, and it just seems to me like with the cost of air travel and they probably want to go first class. Somebody on the back of a napkin said, "We're going to lose money on this," So
If you could put together like a fantasy tour, like bands existing or in the past, just like a fantasy lineup, who would you put with you guys?
I could start probably from current bands. Exhumed would be one. We would love to play with bands like well, a lot of people used to compare us to Testament,
Yeah.
and we really love these guys. So that'd be a dream to play with Testament and someone like that. I'm not a huge fan of black metal, but we love Hellripper, and we'd love to play with them again. Midnight be another band.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And from the past, I mean, Jamie is a total thrasher, so he's got his roots deeply in traditional thrash. And the reason we sound so thrashy is because of him. He turns every song into a thrash mayhem crazy thing, and which is great. Gives us this sort of character.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Tasos, much appreciated. And if I had to pick some bands, I really love Bloodbath, so that would be a cool band to tour with. I guess if on the more melodic side of things, I really love his name escapes me right now. I love Michael Amott's guitar playing, so like Carcass original lineup would have been.
Oh my gosh.
excellent.
Yeah.
Carcass. Yeah. Can't beat that.
Or anything with Jeff Loomis,
Okay. Yeah.
have you guys like thought about what a set list on tour might include, or still kind of in the works?
That's a tough one. I don't know,
Yeah.
Jamie.
Yeah, I think there's some songs just work live, and some don't. And obviously, the new album, we have to experiment a little bit. I think we have played some of these songs live once, but we haven't had enough time playing them to know what's really going to hit the audience hard. So time's going to tell on that one, but it's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to maybe seeing you guys someday and hit nudge nudge.
If you come this way, anywhere East Coast, we'll try to make
Because
the
we're-
pilgrimage. Yeah.
Baltimore's kind of right smack in the middle of the East Coast, so
Between DC and Philly, so yeah.
Cool.
Well, we appreciate
We-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting questions. I really enjoyed the interview.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
yeah. Well, thank you guys for the music. You're in my I used to always jog to Necropanther, but it's kind of like a Necropanther bleeding mix now. So very good jogging music.
Thank you.
If anyone ever asks.
I see somewhere in Baltimore City, a woman is running to your music. So there you go. Yeah.
I'm at least a minute and a half faster now per mile.
That's excellent.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for this.
The sounds of decay!
Okay, Sounds of Decay 1. The band is VHS, stands for Violent Homicidal Slasher. You take it away, Stacey.
I love how their logo actually
Looks
is
like
a
a
throwback to the
VHS.
original VHS logo. So
Yeah.
tons of humor here. It's not easy delivering. Riff tasty death metal platters combined with a sense of humor and fun. But that is exactly what the Canadian trio that is VHS, better known as Violent Homicide Slasher, have been doing for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
The same kooky Canucks that delivered songs like Weight Reduction Through Terror, sounds like it would work great, and Fake Blood and Push-Up Bras, who doesn't like all those things,
Yes.
have returned with yet another wacky concept album. This one appears to celebrate all manner of sci-fi movie heroes from Highlander to He-Man to Alter the Fighting Eagle.
Yeah. I also want to mention that both James from Hell Ripper and Matt from Exhumed are guests on the album. They each play on a song. So
They love guests.
two Snaggle alums there. The trio have adopted special identities for this release. Of course, we got to get these guys on the show. They're as goofy as we are. Curtis the Conqueror is Curtis Mill on bass. Arch Nemesis Andy is Andy Middaw on drums. And of course, Mike the Marauder Houchins on guitar and vocals. The whole thing is bolstered by VHS's usual collection of searing riffs, woofy vocals, and dramatic intros.
In standard VHS style, 14 songs span 37 minutes. So it's like a perfect album for my gnat-like attention span.
Mm.
Hodgkin's guitar fills and short solos cuts in like Daggett Must Die and Cleave 'em and Leave 'em indicate a preoccupation with hard rock classic heavy metal as well as death and grind.
The one that I keep going back to is The Fighting Eagle, perhaps the track where the mighty riff is actually realized. So this trio is proving to be the best thing to come out of Canada since Insulin and Wonder Bras. Personally, I plan on going for the Eternal Ice colored vinyl as soon as my paycheck hits. VHS, just press play, people. So let's play The Fighting Eagle.
Be kind, rewind.
Sounds of Decay 2 is Evil. The new album is The Unknown.
Evil is a thrash band that is under new management.
That's right.
While the earlier Evil records with Matt Drake on guitar were pretty genre obedient, packing in lots of Big Four inspired hard panned riffs and mosh-worthy breakdowns. Now, the new management is Old Drake.
Yeah.
His fronted band is proving to be anything but predictable. The last album, the appropriately titled Hell Unleashed, was the band's most brutal recording to date, packed with drum violence and a Mortician cover to boot.
Interestingly, this album, The Unknown, goes in a completely opposite direction, stacking vocal harmonies with slow chunk heavy riffs. The lyrics are steeped in the struggles of the human condition. I had to wonder if it was even the same band, but it is. And the production job that Chris Clancy has pulled off this time is nothing short of genius. It'll be interesting to see how I didn't like Lemmy without his mustache. That crowd, the hardcore purists. It'll be interesting to see how they react to slower semi-ballad cuts on the album. The 7+ minute song we're going to play for you, it's an epic. When Mortal Coil Shed is most likely to raise eyebrows with clean guitars, hook-heavy vocals, and the vulnerable lyrical performance from Drake. It's a remarkable song stacked with tension, emotion, and a huge drum sound from Ben Carter.
Make no mistake, of course, this is no emo record.
No, definitely not.
Speedballs like Sleepless Eyes and Balance of Time are every bit as circle pit friendly as the early stuff. It's the mid-paced tracks on this album that show a true level of depth and progression to the Evil sound, like Reap What You Sow. Drake conjuring a riff that wouldn't have sounded out of place on a Trouble record, bolstered by rich bass and drum hues.
Basically, it's a bold, dark record. It's bound to surprise longtime fans and garner them some new ones. Welcome back, Evil. Let's play When Mortal Coil Shed. For Sounds of Decay 3, we go to Hungary. Catafalque's new album, Alfold.
This is on the heels of last year's monster live album, Mezolit live at
Feket Zaj. We're going to butcher this.
Yeah.
So.
However, Tamaz Katai is back with another full length featuring an ever-evolving cast of guests and regulars. He's another one who likes to have guests.
Yes.
Nice to see some returning players from the Vatic sessions like Chris Lyons on violin, Gabar Veres on vocals, and of course, Martina Veronica Horvath's beautiful vocals.
If you look at the album cover, I wonder if they had like that little cub there and he just kind of scoot into the picture, or if they actually planned it that way. Because it's like, have you seen the album cover where it's him and that little lion cub? Anyway, I'm just wondering if he didn't. Take the picture. Take the picture. Okay. Of course, no two like Catafalque albums are really alike. And while this one delivers Thomas's signature electronic hooks, storming riffs, and pastoral folk interludes, there's plenty of experimentation on offer. 5 different vocalists take stabs at these songs, as well as Ostris Eponus lending French horn lines, and Danielle Belly contributing something called a contrabass. What was that? Anyway.
Sounds pretty controversial.
The album starts off in a startling fashion with brutal kind of mic cup death metal vocals from coffin-born singer Lambert Ladizzi. He contributes vocals to 3 songs, and I'm still kind of warming up to that. I'm not sure if I like cattle decapitation mixed in with my catafalque, but we'll see.
Maybe you like chocolate with your peanut butter. You don't know.
Yeah, I have to give it some time.
You might not know until it happens. This album is sort of backloaded, songs becoming groovier and engaging as the disc plays out. The title track is a 9+ minute epic that steps into a very Tool-like groove at its midpoint.
Yep.
Are you listening to Tool? I think we're listening to Tool.
And then her vocals.
But then it progresses to Martina's gorgeous vocals over burbling bass and eventually folk guitar to close it out. The band gets all Fairport convention on our asses for Fondelier with flutes and violins crisscrossing hooky melodies.
For my money, I can't pronounce this right. Stillagat Gorgetto is the best jam on the album, particularly about 4 minutes in, just bass, drums, guitar. Tomas he's the master of, he builds this huge heavy crescendo and then he'll just pull the heavy out and it'll end up with the same groove, but it sounds like an Iron Maiden riff being played on a woodwind or something, you know. And then he dials the heavy right back into it. He's a master. I'm a catafalque junkie, and like all things, Die Catafalque Alfold is a complex, rewarding piece of art that will continue to reveal oral magic for years to come. So let's play that song that I can't pronounce.
We'll just put it on the screen.
Stillagat Gorgetto. Well, episode 4 is in the books. Look at that. We talked about a lot. We talked about apologizing. Apologies.
There's a lot of apologizing. We talked about people who walk around with big hunks of awkward in their pockets and just offer it up to you
Right.
and have
Exactly.
no idea how to interact with other human beings.
We can be a huge ass to Acme shit shovels. I mean, I know we can. We talked about seatbelts in your time machine that chafe. Oh, the agony.
hashtag first world problems.
Yep.
We've discussed a lot of them.
Yep.
We talked about some great bands.
Talked about tricolor quinoa.
Who would have thought?
And talked about getting dumped by your girlfriend because you like horror movies too much. Okay, this has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to the guys from The Bleeding for such a great interview. Snaggletooth theme, courtesy of Gustav Jord of Defleshed. Season 3 artwork, none other than Casey Angel. Sounds of Decay theme, courtesy of Steve Rathbone from Lair of the Minotaur. Decay bands, check them out. Thy Catafalque, Evil, VHS. All content 2023, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
We have more
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.